What shocked Hollywood at first is now becoming much scarier. A preliminary forensic report has helped detectives narrow down a crucial window of time, and what it suggests has shocked even the most experienced experts. According to the police, things quickly got worse, and what happened in the house wasn't sudden either. Instead, detectives think it was the result of something that had been building up slowly but surely. People who know about the case think that the night may have started earlier at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party, where a number of Nick was said to be acting tense and unpredictable by his friends. Those stories say that what began as an argument may have followed him long after the party was over and set the stage for everything that happened after. Nick is said to have gone back to the Brentwood area after leaving the event. Investigators say that he seemed calm on the outside, and that he was in charge of his movements and took his time with each step. At first look, surveillance footage and witness accounts don't seem to show anything strange. One thing that has really scared the officials is this. Records show that he later stayed at a nearby hotel, where he paid and went to his room without drawing any attention to himself by being calm and quiet. What made people raise their eyes came soon after. Investigators revealed that Nick quickly hired Alan Jackson, who is one of the most famous defense lawyers in the country. Sources say that this was done with money from a family inheritance, which quickly raised a lot of questions. It stood out how quickly and confidently that choice was made. What the Los Angeles? The county district attorney's office says that what happened in the house happened sometime between midnight and early morning. There were no signs of breaking in because there wasn't any need for them. Investigators say the person had full access to, knowledge of, and experience with the home. Nick was later found at a hotel in Santa Monica around 4 a.m., which is about 20 minutes away from Brentwood. Staff at the hotel reported seeing nothing strange, no signs of concern, and no calls. They only saw a man sitting quietly, not seeming to care about what was going on around him. After a few hours, worry turned to alarm when a planned visitor showed up at the house and got no answer. Calls were not answered. The doors were opened. Everything changed at that time. The police rushed to the scene and quickly realized that this wasn't a random act but the end of a scheme. A night that fell apart in silence. Around 9 p.m. that same night, Nick bought a sports drink on security video from an Arco petrol station near Exposition Park. He was walking and looking around a bit, which made him look restless, but he was still calm enough to finish the deal. At about 9:15 p.m., he was arrested nearby by LAPD officers working with U.S. Marshals. There was no fight back, no. Please explain. He didn't say anything as police took him into arrest. At that point in time, video footage shows a young man who doesn't look scared or upset. Later, forensic figures showed that the couple had probably died a few hours before they were found. That timing added to the mystery and made the investigators face a tough question. What really caused that point of no return? The police think Nick may have tried to clean up before leaving the house or when he got to the hotel. Still, there may still be traces of proof. In Santa Monica that same morning, surveillance cams watched him as he moved around. The object in question was probably taken from inside the home and was something common and easy to get to. That detail made it even scarier. Familiarity was important. Later, forensic research proved what people thought at first. At first, it looked like a single act. Were changed after proof showed that several people had suffered serious injuries. Respected forensic expert Professor Joseph Scott Morgan said that repeated injuries often point to intentional behavior rather than a quick emotional outburst. In these settings, there is closeness, control, and long-term effort. There was no time for this to happen in seconds. It was said that the couple may have been resting when the event started, which is another worrying detail. If it is true, it would mean that they know the routines and risky situations. Investigators stressed that actions taken at such close range show managed personal behavior instead of detachment. Soon, everyone was looking at what came next. Reports said Nick reportedly used money from a family inheritance to pay for a lawyer. The public responded right away. Alan Jackson, his lawyer, is known for taking on only the most difficult cases, often at great expense. Jackson refused to talk about who was paying his fees when asked. Then there was a big change. Several people close to the family said on December 18, 2025, that the Reiner estate, which was worth about $200 million, was paying for the lawyer's fees. Insiders say that the family members who were still alive thought that a mental health-based defense was the most decent thing to do. Every new piece of information adds weight to the probe. Not only how this happened, but also why, is still a question. Reports say that they thought this was the right thing to do because it was what California law said Rob and Michelle might have wanted for their son. Legally, anyone found guilty in this kind of case can't get anything from the victim's estate. This fact now affects every decision that has to do with the case. Every new piece of information that comes up in the case seems to make things less clear instead of more clear. The law itself makes things even more difficult. A suspect can't get money from victims, but that doesn't mean they can't stop other family members or estate managers from using estate money to pay for a lawyer. Sean Wessner, a legal analyst, said that this is formally allowed while a case is still going on, but it is still controversial and could be illegal. Some experts say that a boss could refuse to give permission for these kinds of payments to avoid legal problems or backlash. The family and the court have not yet made it public where the money for the lawyers is coming from. That quiet has only made people speculate more. Right now, loyalty, justice, and morals are all crashing into each other, and no one seems ready to draw a clear line yet. That was followed by the next big event. Nick Reiner went to court for the first time. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder with multiple victims, which is a more serious crime. It was hard to ignore how serious the situation was. He walked into court wearing a normal blue prison uniform, which was very different from the life of luxury that his last name used to mean. Alan Jackson was standing next to him. He was cool, in charge, and clearly ready. The hearing was very limited, and live cams were not allowed, which made people even more interested. Jackson also asked right away for the official arraignment to be put off so that his client could have more time to think about what to do next. The judge agreed and set January 7th as the date for the next meeting. Nick stays in until then, being held at the Los Angeles County Jail. Nick only spoke once during the hearing, in answer to a single question. When asked if he would give up his right to a quick trial, he said in a quiet voice, "Yes, Your Honor, I do." No answer came next. The meeting was over quickly, and there was a lot of silence. As the focus shifts to January 7th, detectives have looked into a very troubling part of the case again. Nick had a well-known name and was often in the news, but he had a long background of personal problems that went on for years. He was born in 1993 and is said to have started using drugs around the age of 15. This started a circle that was very hard to break. Nick's world often felt too big for him as he grew up in a world full of expectations, pressure, and attention. Reports say that his family saw the danger signs early on and got help. When he was still a youngster, Rob and Michelle sent him to rehab, treatment, and return for a long time. Even though things went wrong, they never broke up. They kept giving structure and support, and in an effort to make things more stable, they even let him move back in with them in Brentwood. That past is now at the center of the case, which brings up hard questions about who is responsible, what the limits are, and how far parental love can go. Rob is said to have spent years trying to help Nick with his creative projects because he thought that giving Nick a purpose could give him security. However, addiction did not go away. Recovery was shaky, and success was often only temporary. The house that was supposed to be safe turned into a place where worry and mental stress were always present. Friends say Rob had one idea that guided him. A mom will always be there for their kid. That commitment shaped how he did things. Even though things got worse, Nick finally left and moved in with someone else thanks to what his friends called tough love. Moving from Maine to New Jersey to Texas, he looked for freedom, but instead found insecurity. Nick stayed sober long enough to work on the movie Being Charlie with his father in 2015. That was a short sign of hope. Through the project, he was able to talk about his own problems and connect with his son. Trust got better for a while, but by 2018, he had fallen again and was said to have caused a lot of damage to property during a bad episode. By 2020, Rob and Michelle let him go back home again, thinking that being watched would help. Friends say they were losing hope. People say that Nick's behavior became less stable in the months before the event. The courtroom is now dominated by that long past. A lot of people think that mental health and drugs may be part of the defense. Alan Jackson is known for cases that have a lot to do with purpose and mental illness. Some sources think the defense might say that Nick's years of drug use made it harder for him to control his things that night. People who saw him at the Santa Monica Hotel said he was severely disabled. The public is very interested in what will happen next because the case is still going on and the past and present are still very connected.